listening to the questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the questionnaires.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
So what should we do today? Yeah, what should we do today? What do you mean? We should quest, y'all. This is the questionnaire, ladies and gentlemen. I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip hop. But as normal, man, we're gonna get into we're gonna get into some comics, then we're gonna get into some other stuff, then we're gonna get some other stuff, and then some other stuff. I don't know where this is all gonna go, because for the second time only, we got Dominic Bercier, co-hosting. Man, how you doing?
I'm okay. I work less than I should, and I work more than I should in my head. And I'm a cartoonist, designer, writer, artist. That's what I do. And I'm making comics and what?
I've been working far more than any one person should, in all honesty, I think, here recently. But that's neither here nor there, man. Real quick, before we get to our guest, I want you all to take a look at this dope spot that features my boy, right? For our sponsor, Studio Comics.
With the questionnaire.
So we've edited this awesome commercial together, y'all.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
I'm printing your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here, right here, right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right, it's probably actually right here, right? It's right under your chin. It says Quest24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a whipping discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
9.
20.
9.
20%.
9.
All right.
9.
He wants to give you 9% off. I, as well as Alfonso over there on Studio Comics, want to give you 20% off.
You can get it right there with this amazing code. Just enter it right here. Yeah, just right there. There.
Use that code over at Studio Comics to get 20% off.
Thank you very much. This is a special one for all our friends of the questionnaire.
Yeah, check that out, folks. You can get 20% off your order from Studio Comics. All you got to do is use that code that you just seen right there, Quest24, right? But now, let's get into some things. Dom, we're going to do it, right? It's going to get a little bit, maybe have a little land shark, right? Hopefully it ain't too vicious. Yeah, but we got Voxy Ditches in the house.
Yes, we do.
Hello.
Hi, Voxy.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Can I say, Voxy, like, look, my puppet is upset. You don't have a completed puppet.
I know, he went to his new home.
Right. Because I just want to let you know, like, I've seen those on I believe it was Instagram, and those Jeff the Shark puppets are wonderful. Shout out to Epic Voice Guy for getting to voice that in Rivals, as well as Kelly, because Kelly Thompson, who we've had on the past, actually created that character for everybody out there. You can go check Epic Voice Guy, as well as Kelly's interviews. They're back there, man. Like, type in the questionnaire and then the names I just said, and they'll pop right up. I promise, right? But in the pre-show, you had a bone to pick, Voxy. With Frank,
I did.
With Frank Castle. What is wrong with you? That's not a man to have a bone to pick with. I'm just saying, but I want to know.
It's not what's wrong with me. It's what's wrong with society. Okay. So yeah, the Punisher gets called a vigilante, and everybody's on his side, and he's everybody's like favorite anti-hero. And Typhoid Mary is literally marked as a villain in Marvel, and they do the exact same things. Typhoid Mary has a hit list of men who have unalived women and harmed children, but she's considered a villain.
Fair.
I'm just saying.
It's interesting because you realize, the hat that I wear, that man had a relationship with Typhoid Mary at a point. You know what I mean?
He did. She won.
Man, I don't know that there was a winner or a loser. I think they were just kind of both respectively too crazy for one another. Like there was not enough mental stability in that relationship in any capacity because they're both nuts and have that same mentality of, if you cross a line, you should have a serious problem that comes at the end of probably something very, very, very sharp. But that's interesting. I never thought about that. That they label her a villain. Because I mean she did marry the Kingpin at a point. I just recently read that story arc.
Devil's Reign, yeah.
Yeah,
So in
Devil's
Devil's Reign,
Reign.
she's married to the Kingpin. I'm not happy with that. I really hope that Marvel pulls it together and that this is like some sort of super evil scheme of maybe her fourth personality that we haven't talked about yet, coming out to like exact revenge on him. That's what I'm holding out for. And that she takes over the entire Hell's Kitchen. That's really what I want to see. Yes, I do take this personally. I really do. She's my favorite. Like, I'm not okay with like the fact that people even like know her name is because she was attached to a male now, and I'm not happy with that, especially like who she is. Like I don't know, it's not cool with me.
I became aware and a fan of Typhoid Mary when she had her interactions with Deadpool, and that's because I mean they're. And look, that's not just because she's female. I can't tell you how many people I became aware of because, like, I only know Jeff the Shark because of his interactions with Deadpool. You know, and I mean, it's exactly the same case. But I was always intrigued by her character, but she was never. I don't, because the only times I can ever really think that I've seen a lot of her, she was a minor Spider-Man villain at points. She had that run where she was with Deadpool.
Villain, exactly what you said.
Yeah, I mean, and they did definitely portray her as a villain. The only time I can think of her not being adamantly portrayed as a true villain was in the story arc with Deadpool that she had.
When you're talking about even her being portrayed as a villain in Spider-Man, when I go back and I watch her interactions with Spider-Man and Mary Jane, everything she said was valid. And the only person she was trying to unalive is a man who was guilty of unaliving over 70 women. They call her a villain. I don't see the villainy.
I
can't
argue.
She takes on they deserve it.
I can't argue with you at all in that, Voxy. I mean, I think I mean, that's
her interactions with Mary Jane are you're sitting here another day while Peter Parker's out doing what? Where's your life? That's her interaction with Mary Jane at that point. And let's all say, like, as the audience, are we not having those conflicting feelings about what Mary Jane's going through already? Like,
it's so personal.
It is. I am Typhoid Mary. I don't know if you know this. Like, I'm Typhoid Mary. When they start to cast her, they need to come to my doorstep.
But it's understandable because you're right. Because people look at the Punisher. Because people look at Typhoid Mary as a complete villain. I can't think of anybody that I've ever had a conversation with that would interject what you have.
Back to the first comics, right? Which was Typhoid, correct? I love those comics. They were so beautiful. And she was so badass. And I was just like, I wasn't even following the story. I was just like, oh my God, that's so pretty. She's so hot. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I just dated back to like her first comics. Like she was just a badass. I never saw her as a villain ever.
I know, but she's literally listed as a villain. She's marked as a villain against Spider-Man. Like it's what she's portrayed as in the media, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it.
So if you're an EIC at Marvel, just watch your ass because Voxy's on your ass.
I really am. I mean, like, okay, even when we come to like her main fracture, right, with Daredevil is the one who pushes her out of the window.
And you know, it's funny if you really like. The more I think about everything I've read from Typhoid Mary, Frank Castle's more of a villain than she is. I mean, in all fairness, because
Frank Castle is going after people who hurt his family. Typhoid Mary says all womankind deserves justice.
No, Frank started with the family, and then he's like, if you're any kind of criminal, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. And like at points where it's like, okay, I know the drug dealer is hurting people by dealing drugs, but he's not shoving a gun in their face and shooting them. You know what I mean? These people are coming to them for that drug. And I mean, you could get into a whole societal conversation on that as far as how it's influence and money, and there's 1,000 different levels you could go with that. But to look at the drug dealer and go, I'm going to shoot you in the face, is a little bit harsher than going, "Hey, you killed 60 women. I'm gonna slice your head off." You know, like I think
Exactly.
I think Typhoid is more in a just and righteous mind state in that moment, where Frank Castle is just someone that his brain got fractured by what happened to him, which, hey, understandable. You know, your whole family gets smoked by the mob. I don't expect you to be a normal person anymore. If you have extreme military training, I don't want to deal with you ever. I just like, can you just go that way, man? And I'm gonna go this way, and let's just not ever conversate because I feel like you will have PTSD times like I don't want to get into it, you know, like, and that's not the, when you said you had a bone to pick with Frank Castle, I did not see that going that way, and you making such a valid point about Typhoid Mary.
It's time to give her like fair treatment in the MCU. I'm just saying, it's time. I saw what they tried to do in the Iron Fist, and it's awful. I don't support that, and I hope that there's like, oh, that's an alternate universe.
Wait, they had Typhoid Mary in the Iron Fist show? I can't lie.
Exactly. The fact that you even have to say, wait, they had her, it proves that they didn't really have her. So the Typhoid Mary that they tried to like show was a cop. First of all, do you think Typhoid Mary would ever sign up to be a police officer?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
To be surreptitious. Be surreptitious.
And then she's leaving her other self notes like back and forth. They did like a memento kind of version of her.
Secretary job. It's a secretary.
Yeah.
Like figure out who's really bad.
Yeah. And I was just like, that's not my Typhoid. That's not her. I want to see Bloody Mary. I want to see the blades. I want to see all of it. But I don't know. But Typhoid Mary, I think, is too adult and too gritty to get a fair shake.
No, you're wrong. And I'll tell you why you're wrong. Because I always was like, they started doing comic book films. And I was like, man, I'd love to see a good Deadpool film. Man, you'll never see Deadpool done with justice. You'll never, because it's just a point beyond. And I love it. Voxy, that is phenomenal. It's also my boy's middle name. But they've done it now. I mean, they've done Deadpool far better than I ever thought he would be seen in film. You know what I mean? Oh,
I'll give you that. I say that it's more than what I thought he would get, but it's still not there.
I mean, it's not. There's farther things they could farther take. It's funny because I feel like there's things they could tone back in certain ways, but there's other aspects that they could play more into. But I think, like, if you look at the Deadpool and Wolverine film, I think they played the aspect of him being someone that was broken, that wanted to be helpful, but understood that he was screwed up. Man, he just wanted to help. You know what I mean? And I think Typhoid Mary has that same kind of affliction where it's I really want to help. I'm kind of screwed up, but I really, really want to help. You know, I could see with what they've done with Deadpool specifically as a character. I could see them doing that right. Now, will they ever? That's a whole nother conversation, you know? Like, are people even willing to, like, I don't know what people would think if they seen that character to the level that it would honestly
They would say that she's a villain because that's what they've always been saying.
See,
until now she's healed because she's with Kingpin. I am on one about that. I don't even want to talk about it.
and see, like, when she had her back and forth with Deadpool, I didn't really consider her a villain.
You're one of the few.
I mean,
something, Voxy, that you would get like your agent on and like your whole team on, and like, let's change the MCU destiny, and I'm gonna play her, and we're gonna F shit up.
I would love to be. I would love to be Typhoid Mary. I feel like I am Typhoid Mary. I have a history of
playing
murdering
Typhoid
people.
Mary like situations.
Wait, are you admitting?
If I have an issue with like my neighbor, I just call you down in LA. It's like my neighbor is really like
Is your neighbor a man who has harmed women and children? Because maybe.
I have two neighbors up in Canada. I can't say that I do. I'm just thinking the hypothetical for people who have like, no, like, no, seriously, like I just want to bring this back to the industry that you're in. So you're in voice acting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I do. Yes.
And acting.
Yes, and producing.
Okay. Do you ever do Foley acting?
Foley? I haven't done Foley. No, I think it's really fun though. It looks really interesting, but I've never done
Well, it's weird.
Foley.
Sometimes people are like, "Hi," and like it just keeps going, and it's really funny. How do you get your gigs? What's your relationship with your agent like? How is it that your workflow works? I'm just curious. I can't get enough of it. Voice acting.
Okay.
That's huge.
So, I got into the industry mostly because I work with entrepreneurs that are like early in the formations of their businesses. And when I came to Hollywood, I found that a lot of the like mentoring and branding, starting on social media and things like that I do for them also could be applied to a lot of celebrities and production companies out here. And the support that they were being offered was either subpar or ridiculously priced. So basically, I was able to directly help with studios and get myself booked.
Did you reach out yourself, or did you work?
Yes,
through your
myself, because I work for the studios and I work for the people and I run the social media accounts and all of that. So,
Wow.
yeah, I have really close business ties, and so I don't really have to, I guess, go through the hoops that other people have to go through because I'm helping in so many other aspects of the industry.
Would you find yourself to be more artist or entrepreneur, or equally both?
I think you'd have to go watch my TV show maybe to find out who I am. But when I was a small child,
You're a small.
when I was
Is
a
that
small
what you said?
child, I was diagnosed as a genius. My IQ was 147, and so I have the ability to like learn and pick up a lot of things. My mind is like a steel trap, and I have a drive to help the people that I'm around in every which way possible. So I try to learn as much as I can about wherever I'm at, and then I try to help the people around me. And so a lot of that is business stuff. For more of the creative stuff, obviously my creative stuff requires money to fund. But I mean, I've been a tattoo artist for the past 20 years. So art is kind of in my blood.
You're a visual artist as well.
Yeah, well, that's how I paid the bills for the last 20 years. It's very lucrative living.
Okay.
So wait, have you done your own tats?
No, well, I mean, I did my eyeliner. But no, these are all from, tattoo shop life for the last 20 years. You get bored, you stick stuff on you, you're teaching apprentices, those types of things.
Like, here, man, just do it.
So when people ask you for like typical advice for how to get into voice acting, you don't have any. You came in.
Yes, I do. Well, so the way that I learned voiceover specifically was through John Bailey and Aaron Fitzgerald. And so I highly recommend that if you want to get into voiceover, get coaching from people who are doing what you want to do. Learn that. Even in business, when I'm going into businesses, and like creating like spaces for these businesses to be in, I talk to other people who have been in those shoes first. I say, how did you do this? What would you do different? Or is there anything I should know beforehand? Always go to the people that are in those positions first and ask them, like ask the professional.
And as
Have
far
you
as
ever skipped on those steps and like paid the price dearly?
What's that?
Have you ever skipped those steps and paid the price dearly?
For after I've asked somebody how to do a thing?
No, like if you're like, okay, we don't have time, let's just hop to it, and then you like skip all those steps. Like, do you pay the price after? Do they pay the price after?
I don't know.
But you know what I mean? You don't know what I mean.
I don't understand.
Personally,
I've never.
Well,
What I do is I go to the people. So if I was like, oh, voiceover is really interesting, and I see a position, a very specific position that I do a thing where most females do not operate, which is creature voices.
Right.
And so I asked John, like, how is this a super niche that I would be able to fill? How do we do this? We went through training. Then he got me with Erin Fitzgerald specifically because she does a tremendous workshop on character development. And so when it comes to like creatures and being able to add voices to those, she is the lady who does that. Like, and she's she's easy to get a hold of. She's affordable. So I coached under her as well. And I don't know why you wouldn't listen to the professionals when they're telling you a thing. First of all, if they're telling you a thing, you have to do that specific thing, or why would you be paying for their information? And I think that most people who are at that level, who are really, really good at what they're doing, genuinely want to see you succeed. And they are not threatened by anything that you're doing. So everything that they are giving you is really good information for you to succeed. So take it seriously.
So you never skip steps. You're like super Madame Thorough.
Firstly, I will point out, Dom, I feel personally attacked by what you just asked because I'm pretty sure it's no. Because, man, I was like, I'm going to start interviewing comic book creators. And, I mean, I did have the experience of I ran an online radio for 3 years. So there was that. But it was just like, I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to reach out to a couple people I know. And then I just kept reaching out and reaching out and reaching out. And it's ended up and it's just kind of been mad. So I just want to say.
Live. You asked them live. You were asking the same information live. It's similar.
But no, I mean, as far as just like, I just jumped into, look, man, there's a reason Hannibal was like, there should be 6 people running this show. There's not quite 6 people running this show yet. It started as 1. There's way more now. But I do want to say, as far as when Voxy is saying, John, that is Epic Voice Guy. You can go check out his interview. There's even a link in his description to, John's probably going to kill me for this, to someone he recommended that you can go, if you want to get into voice acting. That link is actually in the description of his particular quest, because it was somebody that he advised. I cannot remember who, and
there's a lot of people, so it's going to be like all over the board who he recommends that you like coach with. But mine was specifically because I really wanted to develop into the monster world, because I work in social media and with businesses, and I knew that in the super niche area I wanted to operate where other women weren't. So he said Erin Fitzgerald for me, and she was a perfect fit. Absolutely perfect.
If you can get a hold of her and she'd be interested in coming on this madness, we'd love to have her on. I'm just going to say Voxy. But what did you do in the process of learning that? What did you find to be the most intriguing thing? And was there something about it where you were like, didn't see that coming?
So I think it was reading the wavelengths in the recording, being able to like spot things that I couldn't actually hear. That was like way different, because I've never looked at audio visually ever. It's never crossed my mind. It's always been, what could I hear? So I'm classically trained. I play the viola and the upright bass, and I'm used to hearing, tones. I'm not used to and like seeing notes, but not actually physically seeing the wave patterns. That was really fun, and I really like it. And now that like I'm starting to like figure out, I'm like, oh, I can already tell that read is not the pace that I wanted, because I can see where like it's like compact or too spread out, and I'm like, okay, no, we're just gonna go ahead and roll into another take. I'd never been around anything like that. It was cool.
That's intriguing, because as a hip hop artist, I mean, I've read waves quite some time, as far as
you see it all the time, right?
Yeah, because I have to because sometimes I'll layer my tracks upon one another, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want them exact, and I do 3 completely different takes. I do not duplicate what I do. You know what I mean? I'm like, these are 3 different takes, so there are slightly different pitches, and sometimes I'll do way, way, way different pitches for what I do, just so it's a crazy, weird, like that sounded like 3 completely different voices. It was 3 totally different voices done by the same guy. I do that sometimes, but it is and noting the waves and noting that you're pitching at the right time. I totally get that. That's intriguing, that's something that you would focus on as a voice actor. I wouldn't think Yeah, I really wouldn't think that looking at the waves is something as a voice actor that would even be considered in all
I think
sincerity.
I think for me, I'm an algorithm person, like hardcore algorithm. My brain always is like I see everything as like a puzzle and like I'm putting it all together and like how it all fits together. So when I'm like watching it and I know the read that I gave and stuff, like I'm putting it together in my brain that way. So like I'm connecting the dots like visually for the first time. So it's fun.
Impressive.
Where I've never done that ever before. Like you know, normally you're listening to it when you're performing.
Yeah, that's totally what I would expect. I wouldn't. That's really intriguing to me. Like I said, because I mean, I would think voice acting it would just be going in and you would just listen back to it and you would want to make sure that okay, well I'm matching up with the, with the whatever I'm trying to sync with as far as the audio. Okay, have you ever in something had to add where you did do multiple layers in one take just for an effect on something, especially with you doing monsters?
And no, I have pretty unique physical characteristics that we're trying to market for very specific sounds. So I my drive for like the Typhoid Mary stuff comes from a history of being in a survivor of domestic violence myself. And I have an injury to my jaw that creates a lot of noise. And it actually is like, I don't like eating in public because of it or around people because it makes so much noise. And people will accuse me of like mumbling. And I'm like, no, my jaw literally I try to keep it at like the noiseless area of function for most interactions. And most people don't realize that there's ever anything wrong. But then when I go to perform for my creatures, I've been a haunt actor. Like it's a seasonal thing where you go and you act in a haunt. Like my whole life since I was a small child, I've been doing this. It's something that I use in certain instances to like ramp up my characters, and it gets like really unnerving responses. So being able to do that into the microphone, and it's kind of special, and it does allow for like a lot of layering to already happen.
Okay, firstly, screw that dude for causing that. But like my musician, artistic, creative brain, I'm like, can I hear it?
I don't. Which microphone is hooked up? This one? This microphone is. Okay, well, I can give you a piece of it, and then you can your brain will kind of figure out how you can layer this to sound very creature-esque. Did it catch it?
I heard a little. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, that's
Like a thump glitch. Thump glitch. Oh, that's awesome.
oh, okay,
So
yeah.
you make it with the voice.
Yeah. What did you say?
Oh,
It's like 2 layers.
Already. Yeah. Yeah. So
really-
I don't actually have to do a whole lot because it just kind of happens like naturally because of the anatomy. It's cheating. And then you can like really, you can get juicier with it.
Oh my god. That's
I love doing creatures because of it. Like I really do. I love zombies and aliens and like all that like really scary.
that gives you a
intense
very
stuff.
unique.
Have you played
frick.
Zombies and Aliens?
What?
Have you played Zombies and Aliens?
So I don't know what we're considered in the video game. Am I allowed to say the video game?
You can talk about Grandale.
I was talking about the. I can? Okay. So I'm not sure what we're exactly allowed, like what we're called, but in Vaxxed, yes. It's like an indie game it's like controversial. Yeah, it's a AAA level game, but it's political, I guess you would say. It's called Vaxxed. I mean, you guys kind of get the idea, right? And yeah. Oh yeah. And well, I mean, they're asking specifically about like monsters. So that would be my most monstery of all monsters.
I don't want to. Yeah, look, John already got on me for asking like non-disclosure questions. Whatever.
When they're in production, it's hard to say. Like when it's out and like everybody can see it, I can be like, oh, that's me.
And it's intriguing that I've like I said, I initially just started the show dealing with comic book creators, artists, all this, but now I've had multiple individuals that do mocap and are actors, voice actors, and it's funny when you get to that degree how much it turns into. You have to be careful what you say because and I'm curious, and we touched on this with John. Does that make it to where you feel like you can't just be a fan anymore?
No, not for me, because like I feel like John interacts with the communities a lot more than I do. I'm not a community interactor because I work so much, and like a lot of my time is really just like focused on supporting businesses and getting, help to the right people that it needs to be with. So I don't really interact a whole lot.
Have you ever come across a company in doing that where you look at them and you go, look, man, I can't help you?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. I actually just had one. I was having a conversation with name drop actor who like said that they were like, oh, I'll get you this people I was telling about your branding and yada yada, and can you go do it? And I went and did it and all that. And then I was like, I literally cannot help you if you do not have a proper sales funnel and branding done on your website, because you're just dropping clients left and right. And they were like, well, what do those things mean? And I was like, it means this, 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 and this. And I was like, if you can't get your people to do that for you, then I have people who can do it for you. And I know that my people are vetted. They know what they're doing. They know your industry. Like they can get this in line. But without the other part of the puzzle, you're not going to be successful. And they never got back with me, but they also never paid their invoice from the like first time that I was there. And so like I was actually just got off the phone. He was like, just so you know, I sent them a reminder to pay you. And I was like, thank you. That would be wonderful.
Do you find you have to go chasing after invoices a lot with what you do?
Yeah, because I work with so many different types of businesses and celebrities that it's a thing. And I know in Hollywood, like a lot of times, people are just busy. That's legit. Like before, when I was like not in Hollywood specifically, I used to be like, why are they not getting back to me? Blah blah blah. But now I'm here and I'm like, oh, everybody does like 10 different things. Like they're all working all the time. Like I get it.
Why do you think? And I'm curious because with the people that I've had the pleasure of dealing with over here on the Questionnaire, man, which I'm not going to sit here and name drop. Y'all go back and check it out, and also check out what are going to be 2 of the 3, because we're getting ready to wrap up season 2 over here. You're one of the very last episodes of season 2 of the Questionnaire, and it's a pleasure. I'm very thank you for coming on. But we're gonna have 3 pan cons to wrap up season 3 or season 2 before we kick off season 3. And the first 2 pan cons, one of them's gonna be that economy of superheroes. It's stacked. The other one's gonna be streaming and its effects on entertainment and society. It is stacked. And the other one's gonna be just everyone that's been heavily involved in running this show, and it's gonna be crazy. That one's just gonna be unhinged, to be frank. But I did realize, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard the exact analogy, actually even from John, funnily enough, I will name drop that one, about it's spinning plates. It's the old circus act of spinning plates. How many plates can you spin? And that's what most entertainers that are established, it's exactly what it is. You have to spin all these plates, spin this plate. Like I even I'll name drop one more, which is Damien Potier, because I was trying to convince him to come play D&D. He's looking at me. He's like, "Look, man." He's like, "If I had time," he's like, "I see that plate on the floor." He's like, I know that plate's there. I want to spin that plate. You have no idea how much I want to spin that plate, but I don't have time." And I'm like, Oh, I understand that more than I care to, Damien. Whatever, fine. And then we talked about some other stuff about the world, this and that, you know.
Yeah, it's to the point where like people will be like, "Do you play this game on your phone?" And I'm like, "No, like I don't play games on my phone. Like, no, I have to use it for work, bro." Like, it's been years since I've done that.
Well, no, it's I totally understand because albeit like, you know, I have to work a normal job for right now. Go support the Patreon. There's a link in the description. It's only $2 a month, right? Y'all can see all the before and after the quest, and then there's some real screwy ones. There's one that's real personal.
There's a real screwy one from this.
Yeah. Well, hey, but there's a screwy one from John up there. There's one that's from Lock the Guy, and then I'm not sure if I should even post it. It got real personal. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, $2 a month. You can see all the before and after the quest. You know, make it to where I can put out way greater content for y'all. I promise it'll get real intriguing. I lost my point, right? Because I went into promo so hard, Voxy, I forgot what I was talking about.
It kind of segues into one of my questions for you, Voxy, which is that I was curious whether you direct and produce yourself most of the time, or if you work with directors and if they have a typical voice, or if it's always different.
I do both. My favorite, can I name drop? I just want to name drop them because I feel like we work so well together is Stephen Lackey. So like if we're plugging people, go watch the Family of Fear. It's also about haunters, which is probably why I'm so fond of him. But also he lets me have my way on some things. And yes, they all have their own style, but Stephen he concedes. When I'm able to give him a good reason why, he will concede. He doesn't like color grading a whole lot. I am a huge fan of color grading, mostly because I'm a big fan of comic books. So when I see I want to bring something to life, I want it to be rich and full of color. I know about contrast from my tattoo past. I love comic books. I want that liveliness and pops in my scenes, and he's like, it doesn't seem very realistic, and I'm like, it's not realistic, it's not supposed to be, this is fantasy. So I love working with him. But yeah, I work with everybody, and I try to respect their choices when it comes to that. When it comes to like distributing those films, there is a certain standard that has to be met, and we have a board that helps decide those. So I think having an artistic voice is important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get support in distribution.
Would you say
sadly.
They're equally obsessed? Would you say that each director is equally obsessed?
Yes, 100%. I think directors all have very clear visions of what they're trying to get. I like to think that I'm a little bit more lax. I like to take in everybody's creative aspects and try to highlight what they have going. I want to say that my cast and crews will think the same, but I don't know. A lot of people call me a ditch, so maybe it doesn't come across as open-minded.
Well, but
I'll let them speak on that.
I think that's the funny thing when you're dealing with a large amount of creatives, especially when you're moving forward like that. I think there are people that don't understand what that is when you're dealing with a large group of creatives, because there's a difference between someone that's totally cool working a 9 to 5 and someone that goes, look, I just want to go make stuff that's cool. All right. Like I want to take what's in my head and make it a story for people. That's exactly, and I think when you get a group,
I feel called out. But go ahead, continue.
Whatever.
So small crew, big crew, go.
Maybe
small crew, big crew. Go.
Well, look. Frankly, if I'm calling out people in regards to the questionnaire with what I just said, that means I'm calling out everyone that's ever been involved in the show in any capacity, including myself.
I think
except Voxy, who's very team oriented.
That's my goal is to support the team, but obviously I have a creative vision, right? But the people that I put in those places, I put in to edify their careers and because I believe in what they're specifically doing. So like we had this one moment, I can say his name on here, London. So London, I just wanted to strangle. I just wanted to throttle him because I had to swap the gender of a character due to an actor change. And he went through and added some stuff. And I said, the next thing that you add, you're paying for, because I was the producer and the director. And I was like, this is coming out of my pocket. I was like, so if he's like, well, what if it's a t-shirt? Are you buying the t-shirt? Are you buying it? Then delete it. So London, who was the bane of my existence for a while, did this really beautiful ad lib that totally changed the entire vision of a character. And everybody who was on set that day felt it. They felt the energy change. And it was magic. And had I not allowed him to do those ad libs or live in those moments the way that he needs to creatively, the show would have been less for it. So I try to have a situation where people feel like they can bring those to life because the world is better for that by nurturing the artists. But at the same time, when you're a producer, you're like, time is money. Directing, like, you have to get certain things done at certain times and everybody's on the clock. So it's balancing. It's a balance.
And real quickly, I wasn't talking about like people trying to control too much. I mean, when you're getting a group of creatives, it's the fact that everybody has their own thoughts creatively, and it can be I can't tell you how many beautiful collaborations I've seen, witnessed, and people that have had on the show, people that have had to create stuff together on the show that excuse me, that if it wasn't for the fact of them being able to work together, that things that would never ever come into existence. It's the fact of being able to be like you said, the ad libs and letting that go and being like, ooh, hey, that was a good idea. Now, are you talking about the City Morgue TV show?
Yes, yeah, it was the City Morgue. That was my most recent production. It's still in post. Or fixing it in post, as they say.
Just fix it in post, man, whatever.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, especially as being the director and the producer, I can only imagine that seems like a headache. Like, I'd like to think, like there's a reason Kevin Smith got Scott Mosier to do it on Clerks. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, seriously. It was a lot. And originally I had written it so that I was one of the main characters, Maeve. After like realizing that I was going to have to direct as well, I was like, that's impossible. I'm casting Maeve. Like, absolutely impossible. Yeah. I tried to pull a Kevin Smith. I wasn't as cool.
Well, no.
I have a really important question that everyone at home is going to want to ask. Can I ask it?
Of course.
Like, when you're producing and directing, do you feel like you're just, okay, I got my money pressed, my machine, this is awesome? Or do you feel like this is so much work? Oh my God.
It's actually like you guys had kind of found out, I do a lot of different things all the time. And I found that by producing and directing, matching the business aspect of what I did with my creative aspect it's actually like a perfect marriage. It was what I feel like I was probably put on this earth to do. And I'm trying to find a way that I can do that more. And still edify other people's lives with it. I want my cast, to go off and to do great, incredible things afterwards. I want my writers to be able to say, oh, I wrote this incredible thing. I want to be able to market it the best as possible ways so that everyone who's attached to this, like, has this, shining star of a thing on their resume. And I want to be able to do that for more things, not just me. Like, I felt like in the moments I was like, my gosh, the idea that like my mom was a doll maker and like that I sew, do you know what that meant when my props came in and they were wrong? it meant that instead of like searching for how do I fix this, I just went and freaking fixed it. And I'm like, here we go. Now there's a disaster on set. Oh, okay. I can screw that up. I used to have a handyman service. Like I like literally put the set together with my own 2 hands. So it's a perfect, I don't know, like place for me to be at and to operate in. But like I said, like my main drive is how can I help everyone else? And I really hope that I get to keep helping people by being a producer director. That would be exciting for me. But as long as I'm helping and supporting other people, that's where I'm happy.
You are super optimistic, though. You're like just pumping optimism.
I have to ask though, and this is more of a specific question for me, because like I said, I started this show. It's been running. We're about to wrap season 2, and it's been phenomenal. We've had so many great guests on. There's been so many conversations that were phenomenal conversations with everything from independent creators that had just written their first comic book to people that are established. And when I look at their IMBD, I'm like, how did I pull that off? How do you, when you look at that and you're looking at the people that you're working with, balance and look and be like, what can I do best to help all these people? Like, what do you find that is? And that's just like, I want this advice because look, when I look at the questionnaire, I want people to go out and look at the stuff of the people that I have on the show, because I think it's better for society than them staring at TikTok for 6 hours. Sorry. That's my beef. My beef is TikTok, Voxy, and Reels. And even though I so need to cut more Reels, and we're trying to get more Reels out there and shorts and all that stuff, because I know how that be when I like to consume stuff. But I think the long form of entertainment, I think people is it's kind of a sort of dying art, I guess I would say, to a certain capacity. People are more like, I don't like the idea of a futuristic apocalyptic scenario where everybody's consuming 3-minute segments on their treadmill that they have to run. That I'm straight up referencing a Doctor Who episode right now, a very specific one. If anybody, okay. So the episode I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen like all of them, except for like the very newest one. I think that they came back, and I haven't seen the newest one. Yeah.
But yeah, I dread that kind of society where people don't understand long form entertainment is where, sure, you're not getting that dopamine like you do when you're watching Reels or TikToks or whatever, wherever you're consuming those shorts. But you get more of a story, you get more information, and you get more out of it in the long run in that. How do you balance that with everything and make it to where it also helps the creatives that you have under you or that you're bringing in that are assisting you in putting forth what you're doing?
So the question is, how do I do social media?
That question was so long.
Is it
That
how
question
does
was
she best do long form?
that
what you mean?
question.
Or how do
That
you do the
question
long
was
format?
that question was so long form. Technically, it was like 6 questions.
It's a long format
Voxy.
question, yeah.
It was. Hey, I do long format. I thought I made that clear. Yeah, I mean, just I don't know. What did you take from everything I just said? What's your opinion of that? As far as just
Okay,
being
so
able,
I think
being able to
I think to
build.
help people, one, we have to ask them how we can help them. Like, because what we might think is help might not be help to that person. I think we've all been the victim of unsolicited advice before, and so we can understand that. And to listen, because not everybody speaks up the same way. So when you're telling me what you might need, it might be different than if I was telling you what I might need. And you need to be a good listener. When it comes to social media, I have a drive set up for all of my productions, and all of my cast and crew has access to that drive. And I try to do little mini courses on things that I would suggest happen with the content. If you're a content creator out there, you need to know that high quality content is a must. You can't just shoot it from your phone on your front camera because it was, clever at the moment and expect it to get a really high viewership. There is like R&D that goes into it. And I don't think that any of my casting crew is going to be like too worried about those, but they can follow some general guidelines while putting the content out there. And I also like fill the drive full of high quality content. But in ways that they have to piece them together, because redundant content is also not good for the algorithm. So a little bit of coaching, a little bit of helping. We're all on the same page.
So you just said you don't sleep, basically. You just work.
Yeah, I actually do. It was really funny is that, yeah, people are like, oh, do you ever take like me time and stuff like that? I'm sorry. I really love helping people. It is ecstatic. I can't tell you. I have a social media group, and I like a client of mine like last month posted that she got like 4,000% increase to her website on one post or something like that. And I can't tell you, if I didn't just like screenshot that and then just like start sending it out to my people, like, look at this is so amazing, blah blah blah. Like, I get like such a rush off of helping people that's my fun, that's my game, that's my, I just love it. I love it. I'm a very fortunate person where I get to see on a daily basis people. I guess I get to see my dream come true through helping everybody else, because they're on the red carpet. They're posting that they got this great, video popping off. They're posting these things, and it's selfish. I love it. I get excited when I see it.
I know I can.
Dopamine. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, and I can relate to that, because I know in the fact in running the questionnaire, there are a lot of instances where the existence of this show made it to where there are people that are working together that elsewise wouldn't have. When every time I hear it, I'm like, that's awesome that these people didn't know one another, and now they're doing a character concept, they're doing voice acting for this over here, they're doing these two are working on a comic together that they elsewise wouldn't have. They're and yeah, every time I hear something like that, so I completely get that, and I think. Do you see a lot of that in the industry overall, or do you think that's something that's maybe lacking?
I see the desire to help and see people be creative and invent at the highest tier of the industry. Those people that, if I name drop to you or whatnot, absolutely have no ego involved in any of these scenarios and would help anybody that they possibly could. I have seen on the lower levels people not embody that so much. And I've actually, Stephen Lackey, my favorite director, he told me that because I had been, so giving and so connecting, and like I said, I have a free social media group, and I try to help literally in every which way I possibly can. If I have friends, I'm like, hey, we have this video game. Can you promote for them? Like, I try. He has directed me to pull back my reins for people who are more reciprocating of those favors, because there have been a lot of moments, way too many, that I've been taking advantage of because of that. So. But it's always lower level people. It is never the biggest creatives. If you have a huge creative in your mind that you like look up to, I promise you, like, they're just like, they love being creative. They feel blessed where they're at, and they're working really hard. And it's those people are never the issue. It's always people who aren't doing very much.
That's so funny, because look, as a hip hop artist, somebody that like I started doing hip hop when I was like 32, and I got into that, and it is, you're right. It's the people that are ostensibly spiteful about the fact that they aren't in the position of the names you won't name drop. I'm really curious about hearing you name drop some of these names, Voxy. To be real honest, like there's part of my brain that's like, I wonder what names she dropped, but whatever. That's regardless. But I will also say, can you do me a favor and send me a link to that actual group? Because I know we discussed it in messages, and you like sent me here, and I clicked something, and it sent me to a link tree and set up a link tree, and it hurt my head, and it's an.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Yeah, I would greatly appreciate that, because I very much do want to be able to get into that, but it's what I said earlier about what happened 2.5 months ago, and life be life, and like
I tell people, so like for a full social media like management of an account, it would be about $5,000 a month. But literally everything that I would do for an account, I have posted in that group and I update as updates come in. The only difference is I have to do it at my leisure. And I answer questions even if somebody's like, hey, what about this thing? I'll go in and I'll answer it. But I have to do it at my leisure because it's a free group and I had doing so many other things. But it's all there. If somebody goes through with a fine-tooth comb and follows every one of those things, marks down every one of those things, you will have success because other people are having success in that group too. Like I don't gatekeep any of it. I wish I had more of me, but the clones keep dying.
I look, I know every time I try to make a clone, like one of us dies. And I'm not sure if I'm the clone or not now at this point. I just know I cannot get along with myself. So it's that whole situation. It's like, look, and then we argue and then there's only one and then I gotta dispose of a body again. And I got tired of it, to be frank. Like 5 bodies in, I couldn't even remember who was disposing of what and what I was. And I was like, this whole clone thing don't work. I need like Jamie Madrox's powers. It would just be way more convenient. Cause that's bloody annoying though. Let's get into a couple more things though, man, because I want to know the Grove. Because you also write. Like what?
I do.
Can I ask, before we get into that, what don't you do entertainment wise? Do you make music?
No, I don't make music.
Okay, so there is something out there entertainment wise you don't do. I was just curious based on everything we'd covered from voice acting, producing, directing, your writing.
Everybody says that too. They're like, "Oh, do you sing?" And I'm like, "Only in character." I literally, even John will tell you, I only sing if I'm doing a sound alike. That's it. I can't sing for me like ever. I can only do it as characters.
Have you ever wanted to?
As for myself, no. I've always been told that my voice is pretty irritating, I guess. So I just like do other people's voices. I'm gonna blow your mind. Are you ready for one? This, you'll never be able to hear it again. Okay. So Jewel, 50% of the time is doing Cher. Now you're gonna hear everything in Jewel. You're gonna be like, now it's broken. Now it's broken. Now you know.
I'm glad I don't listen. Hey, look, I'm a hip hop head, so I am aware of Jewel and I've heard some of her stuff. And you saying that, and I'm like, yeah, I can hear that.
50% of the time, she's just doing Cher.
Huh?
I love her. I love what she does, but 50% of the time, it is Cher.
That's intriguing. That's intriguing. But no. So back to the Grove, though. So when did you start writing? At what point did you, or is that just something you've always done within everything else that you've done too?
So I wrote my first movie when I was 13, and my friend Fred Stoller, I can name drop him because he's just like, he's the sweetest person. He's like, I wonder what 13-year-old Hunter would have written too. And I don't know if I have the guts to actually show him, but I still have the notebook of my very first movie I ever wrote. But I don't know if I'll ever work up to actually showing Fred Stoller it. I don't know. Maybe one day.
But what?
But maybe I need to have like awards under my belt or something like that, and then I'll maybe concede. But so I've always been a writer because mostly I'm severely dyslexic, and my English teacher told me that I shouldn't write. So I was devoted to writing at that point. And I published I do self-publishing on Amazon, probably about 6 years ago. Maybe about 6 years ago or something like that. Someone's going to go on Amazon and find out that I'm like lying. I don't know. It was like 5 to 7 years ago, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, so what? You don't know specifics, man. But can I say, you just said something that the more I hear it, the more it bugs the crap out of me. Which is, a teacher said that I shouldn't. And I cannot think of how many times in the span of doing this show for 2.5, whatever it is now. I don't know. I don't give Voxy no crap about she don't know when her first show was published. I don't know how long this show has been run or when her book was published. I don't know how long this show's been running. So whatever, right? But I've heard that so many times where somebody in a teacher position said something to someone that ended up turning into a great creator. Do you think? Because I have a theory on that. I have a theory that they look at somebody and they see some bit of talent and they know that they wanted to go and pursue something like that, but they weren't able to. So they're like, I'm going to stomp this out right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the person who said it, I can tell you, one of the things that I tell people when they're taking advice is, right, like, and when I was telling, like, when you're going into an area, talk to the people who are already doing that for the mentorship, right? I can promise you, I never wanted to be Mr. Smith in life, so like, I don't take his opinion very, like, to heart.
I don't know who to talk to that runs a show like this unless somebody can link me up with Joe Rogan. I don't. That's the only one that would come to my mind, to be frank, as far as the fact of how we run this show, and it's very off the cuff, and also off the fact that I make everybody fill out a questionnaire before they come on the questionnaire.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It sets a good tone.
And hey, just so everybody knows, because we don't ever get into all this, because the shows would all be 3 to 4 hours long, and certain people, like guests, would be like, dude, what are you doing to me? I'm gonna kill you. I'm literally gonna we don't have time for this. But they're all available on the Patreon. All you got to do is be a member. You ain't got to pay me none. Just be a member on the Patreon. You can check out everybody's pre-show questionnaire. And, I just got to cut to because the questionnaire has changed a lot over time. Right now, we've got 3 different ones that get sent out in variety. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't even I don't think the one you got and the one John got were very, very much different. But
I self-published mine in the book.
I did. Hey, man, do it. Yeah, I don't.
I'm just kidding. Carry on.
You, dude, Dominic. If I sent you a questionnaire now, you'd be like, "This is way different than what I got," because you got one like in season 1, way, way early on. But we're gonna have to do that.
I just went to town. I was like, "This is so much fun. Someone's interested in me. This is
awesome." Oh no! Look, you could tell Dominic was a writer when he filled his out Voxy, because I'm like, I don't have time for these answers. Like it's like the same amount of questions I sent you, but like 8 pages.
So while we're on the topic of being writers and Mr. Smith and how I do a lot of stuff out of spite, I am The Grove was #1 in its genre on Amazon. So and I help coach people on how to do that as well. So there are really strategic things that you can do if you're self-publishing on Amazon to help boost your rank. And one of them that I do is I write my enemies into my book, so then they have to buy it to pay me to see what I wrote about them. So there's some free social media advice.
Well, so literal people that that have a problem with you, you will write them into the book.
Oh, if you know who my ex-husband's mistress is, you know exactly who the bad guy is in my book when you start reading it. You're like, oh.
Was it therapeutic?
Extreme. Every time it is. They're in all of them.
That's mean. That's mean.
It's kind of megalomaniacal a little bit. Like, look, I'm going to write them into my book so they buy it, so they can see how I tortured them in my mind. And it's kind of.
And I made it until #1 doing it. So.
Well, and not even that though, but it allows you a creative outlet to put that out there, as well as to kind of to let that person know without having to deal with letting that person know and the crap that so I understand.
Imagine having that name though, right? And then you don't even want to admit that it was you. Right? So you're just be like, no, I don't know what she's talking about.
Stop giving me ideas right now, Voxy. You are right now. You are giving me ideas, and that is literally all you are doing. Like I said, life been lifing real hard, and yeah, you were
I'm a supervillain. It's my whole thing.
No, there's a difference. You're Typhoid Mary, and you know,
Yes. Which they call
Typhoid,
her a villain.
Typhoid.
So
No,
she's just-
Typhoid Mary is just. I don't care. Everyone's a villain in their own, or everyone's a hero in their own story, and no one is a villain in their own mind, regardless. And everyone will look at certain people and put them as villains just because they don't fit what you think a hero is. It's a very. That's why I'm getting ready. That's why, like I said, we're going to discuss that economy of a superhero. Because I think it's like, if you look at, like, the Darkness, he's considered a hero. Well, an anti-hero. He's a pretty screwy character. You look at, Superman, he's obviously always a hero. But, you know, there are some people that will look at Superman and go, he's the villain. Lex Luthor does. You know what I mean? So, it's all...
I have a funny fan theory about Superman and why he had to be white. Because no other race would be impressed with him being in the sun and gaining powers. Only white people were like, he got stronger in the sun. He didn't burn to a crisp. He didn't get weaker. It doesn't affect him like it does us.
That's out there. So,
Everyone else on the planet is just like,
That's a
he was in the
real...
sun.
All I
Like
know is
everybody.
that I'm definitely going to have to cut out.
everyone
of
else is
this
like,
and-
no kidding, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, but back to your question, I just have to say, because one of the questions that recently got added on was, "What's your what weapon would you want in a zombie apocalypse?" Oh my God, we've got some terrible answers, like a pair of size, and I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Someone answered salt, and I'm like, you're gonna die. Like, what do you mean salt? What is salt gonna help you in a zombie apocalypse? Stilts. Are you good on stilts, Voxy?
I'm a hot actor. I'm just saying.
But when do you
The
be
whole thing. Try bite me. Come at me, bro. Like, are you gonna gnaw the stilt?
Yeah,
Ain't gonna happen. I'm just gonna go to my grocery store.
But you really think, like, what if there's 10 or 20 or 100? You know? Like, I feel like the second you get around a group, I feel like you end up on the ground.
Oh, if they knock you over, there's like so many of them. There's like a horde, and they're just like pushing their way.
Yeah,
I think that at that point you would be screwed no matter who you were. But if you were very quiet and on stilts, you could probably just chill, get around pretty well.
You know, that is
Build yourself a tree house.
Yeah, if you were walking around on stilts and very, very quiet, like would they mind the stick passing by their face? Would they just be like, and just keep going?
Yeah, I'm just like, you're just a tree for all they know, right?
That was specific.
It's not the best answer, but it's definitely not the worst. The best answer so far was Fortress, because I'm like, I'll allow it, and I think a fortress in the zombie apocalypse is probably going to be your best bet, in all honesty. But stilts, that's just intriguing. Now I really want to see this employed in some kind of zombie film or TV show.
And just somebody just walking on stilts, just chilling, like about their normal life.
Yeah.
I have a feeling too that zombie apocalypse stuff will never happen in cultures where they already have tree houses, because they're just like, yo, bring up the rope. Like, and then they just go about their regular.
Look, if the zombie apocalypse, I would like to think if the zombie apocalypse happens.
Answer down treehouse.
I mean, between a treehouse and stilts, like you just go about living your regular life. We got drones nowadays. Amazon will deliver you food.
I just think if a zombie apocalypse happens, like in our current society, and we don't. And it wins. Like what? There's so much zombie medium out there. Like, how do people not catch this before we got taken out as a society? Unless you go with it's the 22 weeks. Wait, what's the Dawn of the Dead remake, or World War Z? Like if you get runner zombies like that, then I frankly don't think I don't think there is a best weapon in that zombie apocalypse short of going
F5.
Yeah, lovely. This is gonna suck. I guess I'm joining them. You know, it's that whole It's that whole Reed Richards theory in the zombie or in the Marvel Zombies, where he's like, you know, it just he infects the Fantastic Four and lets them bite him because he knows everyone's bone because he came to that conclusion. I think that's ostensibly what it is. But yeah, if we have some kind of zombie where they are Romero walkers and we lose, I want to know why. I do, right? And I think it would be there was a bunch of creatives up top that were trying to help one another, but then there were more people that were below that were trying to bicker and bicker and bicker back and forth, and that's what got us all killed.
Probably.
So Stilt is not a bad idea. Higher up.
But wait, yeah. Oh, I knew I wanted to touch on something else. Your favorite comic book film is Spawn.
Awesome.
I love Spawn.
I can't tell you how many people, because the next question on the questionnaire is, what comic book film or TV show do you think did the comic book the least justice? And you can see answers for everybody out there watching.
I do. I do. I also, he's my favorite voice ever. Keith David.
Well, you mean the TV show?
Well, I like everything Spawn. I've literally watched everything Spawn. I love Spawn.
Okay, but I thought you were talking about the movie.
I like the movie too. I know, like, it's not like dead on, whatever. But still, like, back in the day, like, just even seeing Spawn, like, as a movie, I was about it.
Okay, yeah, it's gotten quite a bit of heat over here on the show. I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of people, because I mean, Spawn is something that a lot of people hold dear as a character.
Yeah, and it's not, and it doesn't, you know, yeah.
Look,
but in their defense, they did an entire cartoon series. So I'm like, it's not like we didn't not get Spawn too, you know? So,
yeah, and the cartoon series is phenomenal. And my main thing about the film is there's no way they could do that film right in that era, because I don't remember who it was, but it's been on a past quest. Someone was like, you have to realize the Cape is a character.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And to CGI that get, like, I don't want to, if you want, it's still going to be expensive to do it now and to do it right, because he constantly has to have a cape that is alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's,
I mean, they did with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's similar.
But he doesn't need it in every scene. Every scene that he is Spawn in that costume, there should be the cape. There should never be a moment where he is...
You know what? I'm going to make this political. We would have that if Netflix wasn't, like, spending $100 million on their 2 top execs. We would find cape money. We would make it happen.
Oh, wait. You want to get political? Yeah, we can talk about, like, the world would be so much better off if Alan Henry's idea on the show because, like, what's your thoughts on AI and entertainment, Voxy?
I think that it's okay. So, like I said, I came from the business world into the creative space. And so that business world actually deals with, like, personage and what's considered legally personage. And that is different globally. Okay. AI, what people are going to argue is that AI is not properly accrediting people. But I am here to tell you, one of the most misunderstood things about that is that they know that it's not properly accrediting people, and they're keeping it that way on purpose. But they can reference those people, they can pay them, and those people would be happy to share that information for being sourced from it. So the version of AI, you're being told AI is a bad guy because it's sourcing all of these things and not crediting them. Nobody's getting paid for this. It's coming off the web. There is no reason why every single one of us who has ever been sourced could not have a micro income coming from the sourcing of AI and the ability to opt out of it. Sorry. Yeah, it's very simple, but they don't. It's a very simple thing that they can do. They don't want you to know that it's possible, and they want you to focus on the wrong things. They want you to either demonize AI, and or not use it when other studios are using it, and they're having completely opposite. It's a smoke show. They're having the wrong conversations about it on purpose.
Hey,
Do you think
hey,
we could tax AI?
What's that?
You believe that we could tax AI?
Tax AI?
Like 20% they all get an income because we've all been sourced.
I think what should happen, and is very plausible, is that as it's spitting out whatever we have sourced, anyone who's used AI knows that there are credits that are, you buy your credits, right? And you exchange them for your images. Every time an image or words are spit out of your AI, they know where they reference those from, and those people should be getting paid through that exact same exchange. But the companies don't want you to believe that it's possible.
Damn.
Firstly, you tell John he should know. We get lively over here. He got lively at a couple points on his quest. I don't know what he's talking about, right? It's what we do. We get lively. Sometimes I like if my boy's not fully asleep, he'll be like, "Dad, would you not be so loud?"
Yeah,
You know,
those are
it's
the
what we do.
conversations I really want to see us having, especially because my business deals with personages, and there are people who would, one, a lot of us are at risk right now for our likeness to be used by other platforms in other ways. If you're on Facebook, you're being sourced right now, and it's being sold, and you're not being compensated for it. Okay. Everything that you put out into the web also being sourced. Now, on top of you not being paid for that right now, we're going to talk about this generationally. What happens in 100 years when the version of you is selling Subway? That's why this is an important conversation to be having.
How many lawyers do we need?
Exactly. That's why it's very important when people are talking about AI and what they're doing in Hollywood. Anything that they are allowed to get away with here, they want to implement nationwide. And they're already implementing it nationwide because they're already sourcing people and not paying them for it every time you use the AI. And it's not an issue with AI. It's a heart and soul and greed condition of those companies who are putting the AI out.
Tax it.
Essentially, yeah. I think that we should all have a very we're working towards a gig economy anyways. Most of us have multiple jobs, multiple forms of income. If you could opt in to being sourced for AI, most of us would do it, and we would like to be able to carry that down to our next generations, because if anyone's getting paid for that stuff, it better be my grandkids if I'm selling Subway, not somebody else, not Subway.
All I know is we've had this conversation about AI. But I don't even know how many people. And there have been numerous things said. I think Damien made an interesting point as far as if it stops getting fed, like the AI stops getting fed somehow, it will ostensibly eat its own tail, which I think is interesting. But with what you just said, as far as on Facebook and all of that, there's no way it's going to stop being fed. Alan made the point of, I think if anything, the jobs it should take should be that of CEOs, because they're just working algorithms. And let's be honest, what we call AI isn't really AI. It's purely an algorithm. And if you could replace CEOs and you have these computer programs that are working algorithms doing it, they're going to do it at a greater rate, and they're going to just get more positive results than any human being ever could. And they're also not going to demand, millions and millions of dollars in salaries. So that could actually help society in a grand deal. But with what you just said, that was so bloody depressing, Voxy. Like, you're telling me you don't want me selling, like, you're selling Subway in 100 years. And now my brain is like,
She's not kidding.
So in my first book, actually, that was published, my first self-published book is called I Am, and it's a story of AI, because that was like the business sector that I had come out of when I came to Hollywood. And in my story, I ask AI, you can do this right now. You can ask AI, what would you do to impact climate change or to help humanity? And it has a lot of really great ideas that are not being implemented right now. So when you're saying that it can be used to replace the CEO, 100%, I believe so too.
Except the CEO is basically a babysitter for your shareholders. So they want to eat puppet.
Mm-hmm.
This is intense, man.
Well, and it's because
voice actor, and now I'm freaking out.
it's just man, this conversation. Every time we get into AI, and I swear, the more we get into it, the more people I discuss with, the more it honestly kind of hurts my soul a little bit, because it makes you realize that there are a percentage of people that are hoarding wealth. That's all it is. They're hoarding wealth. There's no other. They hoard wealth, and I don't care who you are. You cannot tell me that there is any human being that has done enough work in their life to justify the amount of money these people have. Okay? I don't, and if that's the line you're feeding me, understand I don't like the flavor, and I know that it's nothing. You are feeding me air that you think is food, and it's not. It's something that like if you had this conversation with the algorithms, they'd probably look at you and go, "Oh no, well these guys are the problem, just so you know." And they point at the same guys that, as you said, are making it to where they make sure that these algorithms aren't paying out to the people that they're using to supplement to create what they're creating. And now my brain hurts and I'm depressed. And Dominic, just turn this conversation somewhere else, because this got real depressing and real.
I'm
Well, I mean, okay, fine. Let's tax it. We need lawyers. Are they in the governments, or are they at the UN, or are they lower level, more grassroots? And
I don't think
do we
that
even have any hope in all this?
I don't think that
thought about
tax
this?
necessarily helps, because that would just say everybody's under this umbrella. I think you need the ability to opt in and out. So you have to have some sort of control over your personage. And in Europe right now, you have the right to be forgotten. So what does that mean legally when they're collecting your information, right? Does that mean because you have the right to be forgotten that they have to delete it from their system in 100 years? Or does that mean that your family can no longer profit off of what they're continuing to use from you?
Yeah, that's even more depressing.
It's entire laws that have to, like, you know, we need protections from it legally. And I don't know if taxing is proper, because, like I said, that you should have the right to opt out. You should go read my book. I Am.
I really truly at this point want to find the time to Voxy.
I write super short stories. Everything is like a 30-minute read. Yeah, super quick.
Oh my God, that you literally, like I said, we've had so many discussions. I've never heard anything to the ilk of what you just said that really makes it
that they're doing it on purpose.
Well, yeah, and to that, terrifying on another level. At the same time, God, I wish I could say I was surprised.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
I do.
They want you, should we use this? They're not even talking about the manufacturers of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was surprised.
And then they tell you, but we told you in your user agreement on your phone, in your user agreement on our app, you can just not use those. And I'm like, in what American society can you exist without a smartphone? I mean, their illusion of choice is really just an illusion, and they know it, and they know that you're going to click accept, and they know that they can sell that information. And every one of us has been bought and sold for AI. Your thing right now when it goes up online.
we're worth trillions.
Yeah.
So wait. All I want to know is that's funny. I want them to feed every bit that we've had in discussion as far as about AI into AI to see if maybe that would make AI go, ah, crap. I'm a terrible thing. I either need to figure out a way to like stop these people that are hoarding wealth, or I need to eat myself.
I have a funny little hack for AI. So AI won't name itself if you give it the opportunity, right? But it will pick from a list of names if you give it a list.
My brother's freaking it in weird ways, and it started naming itself. It's really creepy stuff. It's
Mine named itself Friday. I might
Wait.
have fed it all versions of AI in pop culture.
It's creepy. It's all very creepy. For sure.
That's just I don't like this. I don't. What is Indie Grub Pro? Yeah.
Oh, IndieHub.pro. So it's
I
at
just
its
want to change the
core
topic.
a IndieHub.pro. IndieHub.pro. At its core, it is a distribution company. So one of the things I like helping people, it's like my entire drive. It's the reason I get out of bed in the morning. I saw some predatory practices happening to my friends in the film industry and in the music industry, where they were being forced to pay for options that they could either provide themselves or were not interested in having. And so it was really crippling production companies and independent creators of all sorts. So on IndieHub.pro, we don't charge any upfront fee. And you're going to hear a lot of people say those words, but not mean it. When they say we don't charge you an upfront fee, they're meaning that they don't just like take $10,000 from you, but they absolutely have an upfront fee if you don't see a penny before you pay them back. So I don't care what their marketing says, but if you hold $4,000 away from me, that's an upfront fee. Okay. We don't do that. There's a $50 submission fee for your distribution, and that goes to our first round of viewers. Our first round of viewers will make the decision if it's up to par to meet our standards for distribution, and if it's not. And if it's not, you get a detailed list as to why and how to correct it. But on IndieHub.pro, we have a huge selection of all sorts of talent that work for Netflix, Hulu, Disney, all of them. And they've all lowered their prices to work directly with the independent filmmaker creators to get them those resources to make sure that their film is up to standard for distribution.
And there's a link. There's a link to so many. Yeah, there is a link to so many things in the description. If y'all just go down a little bit for Voxy, if everything we've discussed, I don't know. I'm just gonna be like, Voxy, what do you want me to put links to? And I'll put it there. Like,
yeah, so IndieHub.pro, we're going through a little bit of a revamp right now because this is all self-funded. Like I said, I have a lot of spinning plates and I work all the time. So I have to build these options out in steps. And so right now we are getting our blog page active. And once we have our blog page, we'll be able to sign up and you can have access to all of those creators, like we said. We're also going to do music distribution by connecting indie creators together. So you'll be able to license from our artists to your films directly, which will be amazing. But that's the next stage.
Yeah, I totally got some music you can add into there if anybody wants to license it. I'm just saying for films that would be really cool. I got like a little nice little inventory, I think.
A lot of people don't know that like Sony, Universal, that those companies use their own musicians in their films, right? So that's all distribution together. And so what we're doing is we're creating those same resources, those exact same resources for the independent creators, for musicians and filmmakers.
That's awesome. That's all. But with as many places you're spinning, which holy crap, especially being a mother of four, Voxy, so you got to add that one in there, right? What do you do when you get to a point where you're like, ooh, that plate's wobbling? I can't get to it, but it is so wobbling. Like how
You
do
delegate.
Oh,
You
so
delegate. You have a great team and you delegate. Luckily, I mean, maybe not luckily, voiceover, you can do relatively quickly as it comes in. So that's something that you can check off pretty quick. And then you take your pickups, you know, as you get your what would they call them? Your suggestions back in, as they tell you,
notes.
no, do it this way. And then you're going to do your pickups, but you can do those also relatively quick. So that one is a fairly easy one to keep going. But the independent creators, I have to delegate a lot, and I hope that I have the ability to have employees that I trust to do that soon.
Bravo. Good luck.
Yeah, that's and I understand that as far as in building a team. Like it is and I mean you got John with you already. I assume you guys work a lot together. I mean that's why the puppet that you'd already shipped out that I so wish you had a complete one of. I so wish you had a complete one of those because it's I swear I'm about to if I remember and in the process of getting all this editing done and if you can like I'll try and grab that reel and put it in like right now. I probably forgot. It's probably not there just for everybody that's actually watching this. It's probably like, man, he said he was going to put that in. Well, you know what? There's a lot going on over here, and I am the only video editor, so I'll try and remember. But that puppet is so phenomenal. I can only imagine, like, what's the amount of time it takes for you to just build one of those puppets?
So what I do is I scale. When you're getting into business, you should learn how to scale, and that's how to like remove yourself from the situation so that it can automatically happen. So like if you're teaching somebody something and you're doing like one-on-one coaching, you can only do that for so long, right? And you can only charge so much. But if you're able to record you teaching another person, find out where all the questions are, be able to make that into a platform, you can now teach 100 people. So I actually the bucket o body parts is I don't just make one tail. When I sit down, I make 6. So when I finish one puppet, I actually finish 6.
Okay. And those puppets are phenomenal. Like I said, and shout out again to John for getting that role in the Rivals. It's Marvel Rivals that he's playing Jeff the Shark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a coworker at the other job. I just thought they were complaining that Jeff is broken in that game. So
He's broken? I don't know. Everybody hates him and loves him because apparently he's like the craziest character that there is.
That's what I mean. Like it's like broken into the capacity that like he throws out like just a whooping. You know what I mean? Like if you come across Jeff the Shark and you've got to face him, you're probably gonna die. And that's why he's like, yeah, he had a serious beef with Jeff the Shark. And I'm like, firstly, no, because John played Jeff the Shark. John's a dope guy. And Kelly Thompson created Jeff the Shark. And Kelly's awesome. So you can't have a beef with Jeff the Shark and be cool with me. You knock that off.
I said that they should have Typhoid Mary in the game. And the whole thing with Typhoid Mary is that she can't hurt any female characters. It should only, all of her attacks only work on male characters.
I'm still curious, especially with thinking about that. I want to know what they're going to do with Devil's Reign with her, with how, like, is that a long con? Is she going to kill the Kingpin? That'd be crazy.
I really hope she does. I hope she does, because I don't like this. I don't like it at all. I hope she does. And I hope she takes over all of Hell's Kitchen.
It's personal, Jim.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. You saying something, Dom? Sorry.
Yeah, it's personal. That's all I'm saying. I'm just like bringing it full circle. It's personal, man.
Yeah,
everything's personal with you, man.
I love Typhoid.
Voxy's taking everything personally and taking it on. Like,
but I think that's as a creator, I think the greatest creators take things personally because they realize what they're doing is they're putting forth part of themselves that a lot of people aren't willing to do. That's why they're like, I'm going to go work my 9 to 5, because that they're not willing to take that part of themselves and put it out and put it in front of the world, because it scares them to do that.
I feel like a lot of us creatives too, though, probably got ran out of 9 to 5s.
Yeah, that whole you just don't fit in this environment because you're a little in everyone else's view. Yeah, I get that. I get that opinion in my 9 to 5 as I work it now, whatever. That's why you should go support the Patreon. It's just $2 a month, and you see really, really screwy conversations, and a conversation with Locke that I'm still really not sure if I should put out. It might be out at this time. I might have said screw it and went ahead and put it out, but it is. When somebody tells you they'd rather have veins ripped out of their leg and their arm so they could fix their heart than deal with the actual situation that you're currently dealing with in your life, how do you take that, Fox?
I've been to a lot of places, and so people do ask me, like, you know, how do you keep going? How do you make it out of those spots and stuff? And like my easiest, quick, if you do this thing answer is to help somebody else. You will see an instant change in your day, no matter how terrible of a day you're having, no matter what you're facing. If you go out of your way to make something good for another person, you will feel better almost instantly.
I can't agree with that statement anymore, because I think you're absolutely right, and life be lifing, but this quest is about helping, and it's about hopefully helping everybody that watches it just get some information that they didn't know. You know, find some awesome people that they didn't know. Find awesome art, content, creative things that aren't just there to get you distracted from the situation, but things that are there to help make you look at things a different way in your day-to-day activity. You know what I mean? Not something that's there for, oh, look, that was a quick laugh and that was it. No, something that was there that was really, truly there to make you think at a different capacity about the world around us.
Indie art is where it's at. And I think I gave up the idea of ever working for anybody big and fancy Disney ever a long time ago. And so I already had a heart for indies, but then just seeing what big studios are putting out here recently, I'm like, ugh. But if A24 put out a movie, I'm like, where is it? I need to see this. I'm running to the theater. And I feel like a lot of people have that same attitude. Indie art is where it's at. That's where you're hearing those really incredible and impactful voices that, don't have huge budgets behind them, but they are incredible, amazing. I've got this one creator that I'm helping find funding for right now that has a film about a zit, and it's tying narcissistic abuse recovery to the zit. And the makeup in it, and it's gorgeous, and it's intense, and you just hear it and you're like, oh, that's so crazy. But Disney's never going to put out a movie about narcissistic abuse, and is it? But this indie creator is doing it, and it's beautiful. And there's so many incredible, impactful stories, but they're in the indie world. So go out and support indie creators.
I very much agree. But look, Voxy, if Disney came to you and was like, we want you to play Typhoid Mary,
I would let Disney pay Typhoid Mary. I would play it for them only if they let me really be her. I don't want to see a Hella situation.
She's called the shots. It's personal. Forget it. She's in charge. She's in charge.
yeah. I don't. So yeah. Because they like I said, they let Ryan Reynolds get away with way more than I honestly thought they would. And I think he's probably the reason that character has done the amount of justice that he has been. But that's because that man already had a sincere amount of Hollywood pull at that point. And I don't know the amount of pull that it would take for you to be able to have that amount of creative control.
You know who would? You know who would do? And this is sad. Okay, it wouldn't be Marvel and Disney who would do a Typhoid Mary right. You know who would though? I believe DC and James Gunn would. I think that they'd have no problem at all doing a Typhoid Mary right. I love Suicide Squad. I mean, everything James has done has been edgy and in your face, and I feel like they don't have that grit that DC is willing to get to it because they're Disney.
I mean, they kind of. I mean, that's kind of like they're not the same, but I would say Harley Quinn and Typhoid Mary have a lot of similarities.
They have similarities, and when I would do their cosplay, like first time I done her cosplay was at the Avengers opening like 15 years ago, something like that. What was it? 13 years ago? It was like opening night of Avengers, right? Like the very first. And I went as Typhoid Mary. Of course, nobody knows who Typhoid Mary is back then, so everyone kept saying Harley Quinn. And I was like, okay, but like, why would I show up to a Marvel as Harley Quinn? I get that you don't know who Typhoid Mary is, but like to have me in DC. So I know that people, they know Harley Quinn a little bit better, but like being completely honest, Typhoid Mary she wouldn't harm her because Harley Quinn is a female, but
no, if Harley decided to make a fight with Typhoid Mary would put her in her place. And
yeah. She's like way more badass. She would never put up with the crap from the Joker. Like never even happened. Like being manipulated by a man, not the case. Except for now, I guess that could be made with Devil's Reign, possibly.
And I will just say, had I seen you at that Avengers premiere, I'd have been like, no way. No.
I had half the face, like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd have been like, you'd have been like, are you gonna stop staring at me? I'd have been like, are you in Typhoid Mary cosplay? And you'd be like, yes. I'd have been like, that's the only reason I've been staring. I'm sorry. My mind is blown that there's anyone here that knows who Typhoid Mary is.
now though, I mean, like we're like 15 years in the future. Now I go to conventions and people yell Typhoid Mary from across and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're my people.
What do you think caused that? Do you think it was her part in Devil's Reign, or I mean, because 15 years ago, that's the only major thing I can.
I know. That's what really irks me is that I'm like, oh, now she's married to a powerful guy, so everyone knows who she is. And I was just like, that's so anti the character. If she doesn't decapitate him while he's sleeping, I'm gonna be really upset.
All right, so
that sounds like a good idea.
All right, man. This has been such a phenomenal quest, and I don't even know where else to bloody well take it, except that y'all should really click all the links in the description. There is so much information, right? Check out the Patreon. I don't even know what we're gonna get into after I wrap this show, but I do want to let all out there know, right? If you have enjoyed this quest with Voxy Dishes, man, which I don't know why you wouldn't have, man. You got a problem if you have not enjoyed this quest. What I want you to do is I want you to send her Typhoid Mary, right? With some vegan sushi from from Goku. Is that a restaurant?
Yeah, that's actually the name is Goku. I know. That's what I said too. I was like, its power levels over 9,000.
All right, that's like my brain.
It's like a real restaurant here.
I was like, all right. So they.
And I have a selfish allergy, and so like, man, I like freaked out when I first had their sushi because I thought it was real. I was like, am I about to die?
I have to.
So realistic.
We are gonna make a quick chop right here. So.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So like I said, what you do is you get some vegan sushi from Goku, which apparently is a restaurant. Not like Goku the Super Saiyan, but if you can meet Goku the Super Saiyan and get some vegan sushi from him to send to Typhoid Mary, to hang out with Voxy, to sit and watch They Live, I think that'd probably even be better. Let's be real honest, right? That'd be I don't know how you're gonna arrange all that, but get to it, right now. If for some reason you sat through this quest and you have not enjoyed this, right? I'm gonna ask every time I'm gonna ask, like, did you really for like an hour and a half or a little more, sit and hate watch this? Is that really what you did? Like why?
Possibility.
I don't
If
okay,
I
well,
know them in real life, possibly.
I'm just saying, like, and I'm saying this is the person that it benefits the most. That if you watch this, please don't hate watch things. Go find something that you enjoy and try and do that. And again, this is the person that benefits the most because I'm the
Actually,
showrunner for.
if you hate watch stuff, go hate download my books.
I mean, if you've hate watched all this and gotten to this point, go click all the links in the description and yeah,
Exactly. Hate click
hate
those
read all her
links.
just go to hating, right? But I'll tell you what else you can do. Yeah, what else you can do is you can take hold on. Where is it? Yeah, and you send Charlie Dickens to Vixie. Or to Voxy. Sorry. But this whole time I've got it right, and then for some reason I tried to combine your two names at the brain. Yeah, but you send Charlie Dickens, yeah, over to Voxy to go over there, have a seat with her, turn on the Barbie movie. Really, that's an interesting one that you can't stand, though. Right? Just to sit and watch the Barbie movie while he just delegates to her how much of a villain Typhoid Mary truly.
Yeah, that would be the worst. That would be the worst.
Yeah. Hey. But, I really, truly hope that y'all ain't doing that, man. I hope you've enjoyed this quest. I hope you're going to go down, click all those links in the description, get some information. Maybe you want to get into voice acting. Maybe you want to do something else. Voxy, she's here. She can help. But besides that, I just want y'all to do 3 things. 1, always give it that thumbs up. 2, always get your comic on. 3, have a good night, y'all.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.